I am so honored to introduce our next speaker, a hero of mine, founder of AfghanEvac. I know the fall of Afghanistan for so many veterans was a dark, dark chapter. I spent time on the ground in Afghanistan, and watching those images was heartbreaking. But like the promise we swore to the Constitution, that oath, we owe a debt to those of our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan who stood by us, and Sean Van Diver was one of the very few who stood up and defended that oath as leader of AfghanEvac. Sean, you make us proud. Come on out.
Thanks so much, Ken. Hi, folks. My name is Sean Van Diver, and I'm the president and founder of AfghanEvac. We are here today to unite for veterans, to ask, like the Dropkick Murphys just did, who's going to stand with us, and to fight for a country that embodies the core values that we all served under. I ask you, what are you willing to stand for? But before we get to today's fight, I want to tell you a story. Now, I'm not the first person to tell this story, but I think it's fitting given the fight we find ourselves in today. It's the early 1980s. The USS Midway is patrolling the South China Sea. The crew spots a small, leaky boat packed with refugees fleeing Vietnam, desperate for freedom. The Midway sends a launch to bring them to safety. As they approach this massive American ship, one of the refugees stands up, balancing in the tiny vessel, looks to one of the sailors on deck, and shouts, "Hello, American sailor! Hello, freedom man!" A small moment, but a critical moment. To those refugees seeking better lives, the symbol of the United States was that of freedom, of safety, of hope. The sailor who received those words never forgot them, and neither did the man who first told this story. That man went on to describe the vision he had of the place that this refugee sought. He said, "In my mind, it was a tall, proud city, built on rocks stronger than oceans, wind-swept and God-blessed, and teeming with people of all kinds, living in harmony and peace. A city with free ports that hummed with commerce and creativity. And if there had to be city walls, the walls had doors, and the doors were open to anyone with the will and the heart to get here." Those words, they were the words of none other than President Ronald Reagan in his farewell address. Throughout his political career, Reagan spoke of the shining city on the hill that he believed America could become. But that speech was the first time that he articulated his vision of what he meant. A vision of a country not built on pride and power or petty actions, but on promise. To be the one who shows up, the one who opens the door, the one who doesn't look away, to be the freedom man. That's the America I fight for. That's the America you're all fighting for. And the America I believe that if we can get across political divides and ideologies, we can be that shining city on a hill that President Reagan, whether you like him or not, envisioned. Now, let me tell you another story. In August of 2021, I got a text message from my buddy Lucky. He and I had met a few years earlier in the immediate aftermath of the first travel ban. Lucky was an SIV recipient, an Afghan who had worked and fought alongside American troops, and in doing so earned a special immigrant visa that enabled he and his family to come to the US and build new lives in the country they had fought so hard to protect. He'd gotten here in 2016, and he and his family were not living that far away from me in San Diego. In summer of 2021, before the withdrawal, he went back to visit his mom one last time. She was sick. August 14th, I got a text. It said, "Brother, I'm stuck on this mountain in Irgun. We're surrounded by the Taliban. We're running out of ammunition. I think I'm going to die. Will you grant my last wish and get my family back to San Diego?" Through my tears, I promised Lucky that I would. I didn't know how, but I knew that I would do it. Across the country and around the world, thousands of other service members, veterans, government employees, and frontline civilians were receiving similar messages. Many of you out here received those same messages. As the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan unfolded over the next 2 weeks, so many others like me and like you stepped in to help guide, advise, and support our allies in Afghanistan as they scrambled to escape a country that was actively falling to the Taliban. During those 2 weeks in August of 2021, and in every week in the nearly 4 years since, thousands of veterans and regular civilians came together with no budget, no roadmap, no invitation, just a fire in our chest that said, we owe them. We launched rescue efforts, we found housing, we reunited families torn apart by oceans and red tape. We met them at airports with open arms and car seats. We walked them into courtrooms, clinics, and classrooms. Because just like the promise that I made Lucky, our country had made a promise over 20 years of war that if Afghans stood with us, we would stand with them. That by their service with us, they would earn a pathway to come build new lives here. That promise was made in the dust and heat of combat zones, whispered through interpreters' headsets, sealed in blood, sweat, and sand. The promise that we don't leave anyone behind. But when the last planes left Kabul, that's exactly what we did. AfghanEvac was born in those chaotic weeks after Kabul. Our real work began in the aftermath of the withdrawal. Because although the planes had stopped, the calls had not. Terrified voices, desperate texts, children in hiding, mothers begging us not to forget them. So we kept pushing. We demanded that our government step in and complete the job. We built a movement from the ashes of failure because our friends deserve better. And what resulted was the safest, most secure legal immigration pathway our country's ever seen. In the last 4 years, nearly 200,000 Afghans have resettled in the United States through the efforts of the U.S. government partnership that AfghanEvac and hundreds of organizations built, working together in shared vision. There are still another 200,000 Afghans who are eligible for at least the chance to pursue the American dream they were promised. For the last 4 years, I've stood shoulder to shoulder with other veterans, volunteers, and frontline civilians who represent a cross-section of America to stand up and demand that our government do the right thing by our wartime allies, that it keep its promise. But that's not the only promise that's being broken by this administration. From the moment they took office, this administration has worked to erase our progress, shuttering the very programs that saved lives, abandoning our allies to chaos, breaking the promise we made as a country to our wartime allies, just like they're breaking the commitment to our veterans. Dropkick Murphy's asked us earlier 2 questions. What side are you on? Who will stand with us? My answer is I'll stand with us. I'll stand with you. I'll stand with them. We must all stand together and stand up for what's right. We must keep the promises that we made to each other and force this country to keep the promises it made to us and our allies. Only then can we strive to realize that vision of the shining city on the hill with its doors open to all, with the will and heart to get here. So just as we have for the last 4 years, I hope you'll join AfghanEvac. I hope we'll continue to push this government to do what's right, to keep its promise, to stand with us. Because of the hard work and effort of so many people across this great nation who stood up, I was able to keep my promise to Lucky. He got out. I'm standing here with all of you today to demand that my government, our government, keep the promises they make to our wartime allies, to our veterans, and to the world. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to first go to afghanevac.org/donate, make a donation. Number 2, scan the QR code that's up on the screen, Sign the petition. Stand with Unite for Veterans, Unite for America. Make your voices heard. It's on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.